with a quick warm up, and we're going to do a 2-octave G scale just in first position. And if you don't know how to play a 2-octave scale yet, the only difference between the 1 octave, which is starting here, as you continue up to the 2nd octave, you're going to lower the 2nd finger so that it's right next to the 1st. And then that's your high G. So then we'll turn around after that, low 2. So if I'm thinking patterns, G major, I just think low 2s, A and E, start open G, turn around after the low 2 on the E. So let's just play single bows first, and then we'll change the rhythm up. So dun, dun, ready, play. Great, so let's dive into jigs. A jig is in this time signature of 6/8, but we feel more beats of 2. So if I'm tapping my foot like that, you'd be thinking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if I just play 6 notes without any inflection, it just sounds like 6 notes without any inflection. Boring. So with Irish music, there's so much lilt, as a lot of people say it. I've also been told, as learning this music, people say, imagine the hills of Ireland, and they're very rolling, and they've got so much shape and contour to them. So even though this is just a plain old scale, see if you can add some direction and movement. I'm always, especially with the jig, I like to think circular, so think da 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 da. It's not rushing, but it's really moving forward musically. It's got some motion. So we're going to do that whole scale with basically 6 notes on each note of the scale. 1 da 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 da. Ready, play. So for me in jigs, it can really depend on the instrument, the bow, and the player, but I kind of like to stay closer to the balance point using a little bit less bow but more pressure. So I get kind of a sticky thing. And notice as you listen to the notes, you hear that articulation, the bow change pretty clearly. So I'm not trying to smooth out the notes and make them, which we practice so hard to do in classical music. So now I'm actually wanting to hear that note change, because that's what makes it sound rhythmic when you're playing with people. But I'm also not accenting every note either. So again, the best way to really start to feel this is listen. Listen to tons of different Irish music. Go to a local session if you have one. Hear it in real life. See if you can start to actually pick out a jig from a reel. And see if you can just kind of embody that. But that's what's happening, is it's shorter bows, a little bit heavier on the weight. And not huge accents, but you do want some inflection. And you might, pause this video and get your own metronome out and try a bunch of different speeds and see how that feels too. The most important thing though is that we're practicing steady rhythm, because that is the one thing that makes it possible to play with other people. If you have a tendency to rush, which is every fiddle player, including myself, I've spent thousands of hours probably with a metronome, and still I like to rush sometimes. So make sure you keep yourself honest. Nobody is too good for a metronome. I can't say that enough. But it's also important to practice without one to get used to that as well. So that's kind of the spiel on jigs. Now reels are in the time signature of 4/4. So let's keep the same tempo. So we had ya da 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 da. If I effortlessly go into a reel, we're going ya da 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 da. And again, if you just have 8 notes, super boring. No one wants to hear that. So I want to add a little bit of life into that. So just think about how to make it move forward, how to have fun. And you might even kind of imagine, I like to envision what the backing instruments might be playing if I was playing a reel. What a guitar, a piano, a bouzouki, who knows? So you can kind of play with that in your head. So you're kind of grooving on your scale. Another thing I want to mention is foot tapping. That's something a lot of Irish musicians do, like a lot more than other styles. You certainly don't have to. I noticed I was not a foot tapper until I started playing Irish music, actually. And there's something about this consistent rhythm, I think, that reminds us of walking, of this constant motion. It really helps the rhythm stay steady. So I would recommend practicing with a metronome. And if you're able to, see if you can kind of find a rhythm that feels good to tap your feet. Sometimes I'll do just one foot. Sometimes I'll do both feet. So experiment with that, but really getting the rhythm into your body is what's going to make it sound like it's flowing somewhere. So here's a reel on the G major scale. Da 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 da. 1, 2, ready, go. I'll just touch briefly in the scale section about reels. Depending on the player and sometimes even where you're at, if you're in Ireland, sometimes players play really swingy or almost like dotted in their rhythms. And that's great and wonderful, but I almost think of that as a privilege. I really recommend people start their reels as straight as you can. And then if a little swing lilt starts to come in naturally, I think that's great, but we certainly don't want to be practicing our reels. I hear that a lot, and I think it's best to just go from 0 straight, but with, like, again, a little motion as opposed to swinging. So have some fun, different tempos. Try different keys too, if that's in your repertoire for these jigs and reels. The last thing I'll say is that can actually be really helpful and fun, I think, is to get this rhythm into your right hand, because that's what's making the rhythm is the bow. You might turn on your favorite traditional Irish album and just practice strumming along. So I like to dampen the strings with my left hand and say I'm listening to a jig. Da, 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 da. So the pattern that you do with backing for a jig on like guitar is down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up. And there's something about getting that rhythm into your right hand, even though you're not going down, up with your bow. It really helps. So just listening to music, da, 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 loosening up the wrist, trying to find, is there anything that's really tight that I can loosen up? Anything from your jaw, your neck, your arm. Could be anything. And then same thing with reels. Those are just kind of up and down. And start to see if you can just listen to what the groove is like. Don't think about it. See if you can really fit in. So those are some basic kind of warm-up scales that you can work on the rhythmic aspect of Irish playing.